I'd like to introduce our next speaker. He's someone who holds a master's degree in mechanical engineering as well as an MBA. And his 25-year career has already spanned various multinational corporations, including GE, GM, and Honeywell. Please welcome Group President of Teradyne Robotics, Ujjwal Kumar. Hey, Ujjwal.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to have you here. Here you go.
Try to maintain
forwards,
the
backwards.
Energy level of Jens. So, yesterday I was speaking at ROSCON, and I love open source and any of the ways in which we as the automation community can collaborate with each other. And I'll touch upon some of those today. So as you learned, I spent my entire career in the large industrial space. And before Teradyne Robotics, I was running the process solutions business of Honeywell, which is the industrial automation business of Honeywell. I learned that you are from process automation background. So let me just take a step back and really give a primer to which most of you would already know. But this is something which I lived throughout my career. So what Jens was talking about, that is something which I grew up with. This is the industrial automation space, mechatronics based. This is the industry 3.0. I'm sure several in the room would remember. And we are still applying that. This whole space was created by ABB and KUKA in 1970s. So it's been around for more than 50 years. The new, more software-based robotic space which we are talking about, which is designed for handling medium to high mix variability, more software-based, now AI-based. That is Industry 5.0. Some people still call it extension of Industry 4.0. It's all about flexibility, safety. It can be reprogrammed much easier. So again, the presentation before me was interesting. There is a way in which, and this is not proprietary black box design, this is more open source, and it encourages different kind of players to work collaboratively. And here, as Teradyne Robotics, we have all different technologies which can work collaboratively with each other and other human beings. Whether you have robots which do manipulation to mobile robots or everything in between. This is Teradyne Robotics. We have Universal Robots, which is one of the pioneers in the collaborative robotics space, and MIR, the pioneers in the mobile industrial robotics space. And we work collaboratively with all kinds of automation players, and Siemens being a key partner, through which we want to accelerate the adoption of these technologies, and most importantly, remove the barrier to adoption. Before I touch upon the kind of applications out there, let me just remind everyone, why are we talking about this new age advanced robotics? Like, we always had that industrial robotics, which took care of most of the stuff, but we still had workers, because the old age, or let's say the previous generation of robotics was designed for high mix, the low mix, high speed application. Those were never designed for human beings to do. We had a lot of workers who were doing welding and palletizing and machine tending stuff. And that working age population, as you can see on the graph here, it's dwindling at a very fast rate. You go by country, you can see in Germany, the working age population has been on this stagnation to decline for almost 2 decades. Even in China, it has been in decline for a decade now. In US, we have stable working age population, but we struggle to get those workers to work in the manufacturing or agriculture or construction, like anything which needs a little bit of using your hand. This generation somehow doesn't prefer that. They would rather work in a Starbucks barista rather than working in Starbucks. And I'll include my son in that. And so we have to reinvent this manufacturing space, not only because we don't have people to work. It's those people who are coming back, they have a very different expectation from the manufacturing world than the manufacturing world which I was used to. So on top, that is on the demographic side. I'm assuming several of you in the audience, you are engineers, so I'll just get a bit geeky explaining the other transformation, which is in a manufacturing world, if I have to simplify it, it's you have this product configuration coming in. You have people, machines, utilities to get a manufactured product out. The big thing which has changed here is in this product configuration, again, me coming from this large industrial where from General Motors to GE to Honeywell, I was always used to this huge volume. That industrial robots of the world gave me, allowed me to use that volume to create a big moat versus small and medium manufacturers. And the whole automation world was all about making whoever had tons of volume, make them super competitive. And there are only two things which we learned about how to compete in the manufacturing world. Economies of scale, and then take that volume and do labor arbitrage. That is how a lot of our manufacturing in US moved to China. Like you just take that volume, move it to China. What has really changed is in the company, like in my previous job, I had 25 factories. Huge volume, but no economies of scale. That economies of scale which we grew up with is gone because of this product variability. Like everything which used to be mechanical has a lot more electronics in it, chips and display technologies. All these things keep changing at a very fast rate. So the General Motors factory in which we used to do a rewiring of the factory floor every 3 years, now they do it every 9 months. So the product configuration, the shelf life of your design is much shorter, and the variability has increased drastically. So the problem for the large customer is now exactly the same as what the small and medium enterprises they have lived with throughout their life, which is how do you drive productivity in a very high variability, even like lot size 1 situation. And this is where this new generation of robotics comes in. This is not that old industrial robots which needed a lot of volume. These software-based robotics can handle a lot more variability. So it has the solution to make the small and medium enterprises competitive. And exactly same solution also helps the larger enterprises because the problem is now the same. And now we have labor shortages. It's not the previous world where, and I'll touch upon some of those implications. So as I was telling you, that economies of scale which we grew up with, it's dead. That labor arbitrage which we grew up with, saying just take this volume and move it to a different part of the world, that is not a viable business model anymore. Now if you want to be competitive, you want to have that differentiation, you will have to manufacture closer to where you are designing it. That is the only way you can compete. So we see this AI and advanced robotics playing a very critical societal role of helping us manufacture closer to where we are designing it, and finally allowing, say, nearshoring or reshoring or manufacturing where you want to design competitive. You don't need to worry about how will you compete now with somebody who has this big volume and they can move it to a lower cost location. And now when you bring this manufacturing back, or you do manufacturing in a new location, you have to also realize this new generation, which is a lot more tech savvy than the previous generation of manufacturing workforce which we had. So we need to rewire our manufacturing and warehouse whole model. So this is just a snapshot of what do we mean by this old way of working. So the old way, and I was part of the problem there, only the biggest companies can win. And throughout my career, again, from General Motors to GE to Honeywell, I used that extremely well. I knew exactly what my strength was. I could use that economies of scale, labor arbitrage, job outsourcing. I don't have those levers anymore. Now companies of all sizes can win. Advanced robotics is a great leveler of competitiveness, and that is making reshoring competitive again. In the operations, every factory floor was like an assembly line because you had a lot of repeatability. Now it's slow evolving. The speed with which new designs came to the world was much slower. The low variability of the goods which were manufactured. Now most of the factory floor looks like lab operations because the lot sizes are a lot less. It's fast evolving, dynamic factory floor, high variability. And for the workforce, that is where the biggest transformation is going on because we don't have people. We as the manufacturing world, and again, I'm using myself part of the problem in that, we really leveraged human worker as a widget. They were a cost to the manufacturing system. And because we had abundant supply of worker, and most of the investment was into machinery to automate that machinery so that I use less and less of those workers. We have less worker now. Finally, we have to leverage how we use this scarce human resources to do more value-added work, leverage their true cognitive abilities. We have to start working on investing in upskilling of our workforce. And this is what is reinventing the manufacturing world, which we all grew up with. I'll just touch upon some of the examples of this huge opportunity we as the automation community have on this advanced robotics and AI. The old way of working, so you could just be hauling load whole day. We brought in wheels. We made it simpler for our workers, but still a work on which we are not leveraging the full cognitive ability of our workforce. The new way of working, so this is the pallet jack, which was launched in collaboration between NVIDIA and our mobile industrial robot business, Mir business. It autonomously recognizes pallets. It recognizes things are broken, where it needs to move. There is low lighting. You can bring in a lot more smartness in your robotic system today, thanks to AI, to do things in a smarter way. So you can make some of the more repetitive work, you can move it in a lower risk way to a robotic system. The old way of working, you are just hauling these heavy boxes whole day. The new way of working, this is how the new generation wants to work. They want to program. They want to give command to a robot which can take care of the more repetitive part, while the human being can plan and handle things in a no-code, low-code way to get work done. The old way of working, we had put human beings in harm's way, closer to flame and fire. They don't need to be in that kind of unsafe environment anymore. Or new way of working, you have, again, AI and advanced robotics, which can do these very sophisticated arc welding and other kind of welding operations in an autonomous way. You just drop it there, and they'll start learning, and they will be able to do a lot of work for which we had to not only plan for days, but also put a human being in front of those flares which were going in all directions. The screw driving, yes. So again, in my General Motors days, we used to bring in some smarter way of doing screw driving, but in the end, it was still a pretty boring, repetitive work with huge health implications for the workers involved. There is a smarter way of working there where the human beings can program and let the repetitive work done by these more advanced robotic system. And I can go on and on. This is the warehouse system done by Ocado. It's, again, an advanced robotics integrator. They take one of our universal robot system, and they have created this AI-based solution, which is smarter and which can handle a lot more variability, and it can. You don't need to worry about giving them an assembly line. You give them a task very similar to how a human being works, and the intelligent system will be able to handle that variability. So I'll just end with this final slide and open it for any questions. In this new world of advanced robotics, no one player will be able to do the vertical integration of all the technologies to solve the customer problem. The only way to develop solution in this new world is to proactively look for how you open up. And to Jens' point earlier, it is more open source, bring in more people, and work collaboratively to create the kind of solutions which has not even been invented yet. And this is where Rainer Brehm and the head of robotics at NVIDIA and we had met a few months back at the new headquarters of Universal Robots and Mir in Odense in Denmark, talking about how do we collaborate together. And I'm really excited to be part of this community where we are working together to bring in these new solutions to the world.
Thank you very much, Ujjwal.
Sure.
And yeah, you said it just like Jens before. This is only possible if we collaborate in our ecosystem of partners. We have a few minutes left again, so who has a question for Ujjwal? Do we have anything at all? Don't be shy. Yes, here at the front. Sprint for our microphone lady. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your insights. So I think all we here can agree that robotics and automation can improve the work conditions, and that make economical sense to bring production back. But what would you say is the main reason for manufacturers not adopting more robots right now? So we see a stagnation in the US and Europe, and China kind of does it, adopts a lot of robotics, but how can we overcome this shyness in bringing in more automation, more robotics into manufacturing?
I think we still have some barrier to adoption because our robotic system still needs some more work for seamless deployment. We are still using custom solutions. More we open up, and that is where I'm very excited about we becoming part of SRCI and CIMOV. There is an existing way in which our customers work. If we bring in these new advanced robotic solutions which seamlessly integrate into their existing world, it will accelerate the adoption. So I think we as the manufacturing world, we are a lot more conservative than B2C world, where a new technology comes in, we try it immediately. In the manufacturing world, we do want somebody else to try it and prove it. Once I have the business case, then in my next year's budget, I put it in the front, and only half of my budget gets approved. And so there is a speed with which we move, which is slower than some of the other segments. But I feel that the business case is strong, and all of us, if we realize that we have a special role to play, we'll get there.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 1 or 2 minutes maybe left. Do we have another question in the room for Ujjwal? Anyone? They're all hungry. I have one that I was given by a participant at the back just before Ujjwal. Oh, sorry, yes. Well spotted.
Thank you. How do you see the topic functional safety with robots? How important is that in future, in your case?
So I think the safety of these robots being very safe around human beings, being very safe with other robots around it, is at the core of this new advanced robotics technologies. See, if you realize the industrial robots from 1970s, those were behind the cage, and they are still behind the cage today, because those were not designed with safety in mind. Those were designed with productivity and speed, and you make that custom application do in a very efficient way, versus this new advanced robotics is about handling variability, being flexible, and being safe, to your point, functionally safe around other robots and other human beings. So safety is the #1 thing which created this new space of advanced robotics. I think the software and all those things came later, is how I see it. That force sensor was the innovation through which this thing was born.
I especially mean the advanced safety functions like safe direction, safety limited speed, safe talk, all this kind of stuff, which more or less makes the fence not necessary in future. Do you see this as a main feature in future, or do you see it as a nice to have?
I think it's a must-have. There is some more work to be done, especially on the mobile robotic side. I see that on the manipulators, the technology is already there. On the mobile robotic side, we are getting there. But to me, it's a must-have.
Okay, thank you. And if there's any more questions, I'm sure Ujjwal will be happy to take some in the break. So thank you. Round of applause again for Ujjwal. That was very, very, very good.